in the reps. So, my name's Paul, and the reason I have this channel is because I went through a spiritual awakening in 2022. It was October. And in doing that, I was awakened to my soul and what reality was. That's the best way I can explain it. And for about 3 months, I was going through just spiritual event after spiritual event after spiritual event. It was nonstop. It was a roller coaster, to say the least. And this was not induced by going to some spiritual retreat or some guru guiding me or anything. This was on my own completely. It hit me. It wasn't nothing I was seeking, but it found me. Um, the first vision I had one night was listening to this YouTube channel, and they were talking about DMT experiences. People um, would go on these DMT experiences and they would see the same type of entities. And then they would have like large amounts of information given them, and their ego would be directly attacked. And many times they had life altering experiences. So I was laying there in meditation and I started just imagining what a DMT trip would be like and just exploring in my mind. And then I started having a vision. All of a sudden, I saw how reality worked. It was like these two different structures that were putting together how reality happened. And it's like what we are seeing visually, it's how that's constructed. And it was like everything was like pushing and pulling and like holding everything together and creating what we saw. And there's no way to explain it with words, but I knew what I was seeing. It was at a spiritual level. It was um, without words explained to me exactly what it was. And I don't know how long this lasted. It wasn't about but a few moments. But in your mind, that is a very long expanse. And this was not earth shattering as in a bad thing, but it was a huge shift on how I viewed the world. The very next day, everything seemed very different and very fresh. As in, like, oh my gosh, this is life. It's like I just showed up. And so, like, I remember stepping outside and I saw a little bug, and I was just like, wow, a little bug. And I started feeling all love and light, as in, like, everybody's alive and I'm alive, and understanding the concept of I could have been any person, as in, like, our souls are the same. They're not copied, but it's like I could have been put in your body. My soul could have been attached to it. And and so I saw everybody with just this childlike innocence. And that ended very quickly because things started speeding up because this was I started researching, trying to figure out what was going on because um I don't know. Some people say a kundalini awakening or your third eye opening or so many different things out there. But I was becoming aware of energy. Like I can see energy and I can feel it and I can see it, not with these eyes, but with my third eye. Um, and let me say this, leading up to this, I was raised in the South. I was raised Christian, non denominational, conservative. I joined the military and I was always trying to be a Christian and in and out of that religion for a long time and very locked and rigid, like still had the military ego um, and still trying to, like in the civilian world, try to figure out like what that meant with identity. So I was still trapped in all of that. So shifting into the spiritual was absolutely out of this world, to say the least. So I was seeing energy and understanding energy and seeing how it worked and how people's words were energy. And the next phase was absolutely absurd. I started learning about witchcraft, not researching it and reading it, but I had like this built-in radar of like, oh, that's witchcraft. That person practices it. This person's a warlock. And whether you like it or not, there is a large population of people that practice this. You have groups that are in the occult, you have low level covens, you have high level covens, you have warlocks, you have secret societies, and they all deal in energy work and manipulation. A lot of their stuff is with words. They do binding rituals with entities, and then they can do like hexes and different types of work. I don't practice it. I don't do it, but I know how it works energetically. So I was made aware to this whole realm in the human existence that I was blind to for close, like, I guess about 40 years. This was right when I turned 40. And talk about a midlife crisis. This was like a midlife roller coaster. So, and it turns out like I'm in an area that there's a lot of witchcraft. And I learned to see the signs of witchcraft and where people would do rituals or binding rituals. And I had this supernatural ability where I could just go driving and I would show up and I'd go walk around and I'd find a place where somebody had been doing witchcraft. And especially on full moons, that's a big time when the witches get out and they do their stuff. And so I it's like I got thrown in the deep end, and it was shocking, like, literally shocking because I was not there with a guide. It was just me waking up to all this stuff. So I was trying to figure that out, like, what do I do? Like, should I be scared? Like, I can't fight, like, we're in civilian world because, like, there's this huge gray area in civilian life with witchcraft, and then there's laws. Laws have nothing to do or cover the spiritual or witchcraft, which is a very real thing. So I was awakened to this and it was scary. It was wild. I did not know what to make of it. And I tried to reach out to one of my mentors, and there wasn't much help there. Um, then I started reaching out to like people that I thought were very wise. And I was like, "Hey, this is what's happening to me. I don't know what's going on." Like, and they would just act like I was crazy. Later on, I realized like you have to lose your mind to discover who you are because your mind and program is what the world made you think. And then when your soul comes forth, you have to lose that. And it's a wild process going through that. And the only thing that kept me grounded was training every day and exercising because I was like, I know this is real. This is what I'm going to stick to. And every day I would just train as hard as I could. And I kind of stopped talking to people about what was going on because people did not react very well to it. They were like very standoffish. Um, I don't know if you ever heard of Reiki energy healing. And one night I was in meditation and my hands go up and they go up and down. They start doing these different things. And and like I said, like my third eye is opening. And so I can sense my energy very, I don't know what the word is. I'm very aware of my energy. And I was able to push my energy out and like make these energy spheres. I was like, what is going on with this human thing going on right here? Like, I think there's a lot more to the human condition than I was made aware of. So I dabbled in that. And I don't mean dabble as in like anything bad. I was like, well, what is this? What do I do with it? Like, who do I talk about it? And it's like close to harnessing your chi energy. If you've ever researched that, they these masters they learn how to harness their chi energy, their life force, and they can push it out into something. And I have another story that I'm probably not going to share, just for the fact that it is so far beyond your ordinary life. It's supernatural. And so I've learned that there are some things I just don't share about, for the fact that people don't accept it. And I'm in the South, in the Bible Belt, where like supernatural is just not talked about. It's just totally ignored. And much almost everybody I've interacted with in the last few years has invalidated my experience and acted like it didn't happen, or I think they just had no concept of how to respond to that. There was no curiosity of there, like, "Oh my gosh, tell me about this. This is amazing." So, the witch learning about witchcraft and covens and Freemasons, I started noticing them more and understanding what their work was, because I come from a long line of Freemasons, and I have known them personally, and cannot say anything good about them. Um, because in any organization, you can hide evil. The better the facade is of being good, the easier it is to hide the evil. That's what I'll say about that. So that period lasted maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. It was like my education, or just like, okay, it is time to learn about this. You have no choice but to learn. And I'm like, well, I'm learning. What the crap? This is so intense. And sometimes I would lay there and I would just honestly say, this is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. And I loved every second of it. It was wild, intense, sometimes not fun, but I loved it. It was amazing. It was a straight up adventure that only I was having, nobody else. Um, One of the next supernatural things that happened was I was following my intuition. Like I would just get this guidance, like, oh, and I would just go do stuff. And one of them was going to my storage, and I knew I was searching for storage unit. I start digging through there, and I was just asking myself, okay, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? Because I got used to that when I would just go driving or walking, and I would find places where witchcraft had been done. And I've got the understanding, knowing that I have this inner guidance now, and I'm just going to follow it. I'm not going to fight this. I just need to accept it because there's no escaping this. So I start digging through stuff, and I'm digging through some old war stuff, and I found this little pack of dollars, like dinar from Iraq from like 20 years ago. And I'm just sitting there like, what am I looking for? Like, I don't know what I'm looking for. So I open it up, and then I follow my intuition. I find this triangle. It's a coin, a challenge coin, kind of from Yusufia in 2005, the Triangle of Death. And then I tied this string on there and made it a pendulum. But before I did that, I looked on the dinar and I found this little symbol on there. And I don't have it right now. I wish I'd kind of thought about it beforehand. But this symbol was very interesting. So I drew it on a piece of paper really big, and I held the pendulum on it, and like the pendulum followed the lines to one spot. It's like, well, what is this symbol? Like, what is this? So I started researching it, and it was an enlightened individual from many hundreds years ago from the Middle East, who was like not a founder, but like he was big into optics, and he figured out like how things are reversed in the eye and it goes in. Is like very groundbreaking, his work. And I started researching a little more, and it led me to Giordano Bruno. That may be the way his name's pronounced, but he was an enlightened individual who knew the art of perfect memory. And he was eventually captured by the Roman Catholic Church, and he was tortured for about 7 years until they finally killed him. Based so my thing, and I got his book, and that is the book on him is very long. It's drudgery, absolute drudgery. Like you have to want to read it or make yourself. So I'm reading through there, and this book was written in the 60s and is about his life. And I'm reading through there, and I start reading about magic from Egyptian times, and they start talking about that. And but go back to Giordano Bruno, and I know I'm butchering his name, forgive me, but he was an enlightened individual, and what I figure is that he was tortured to find out everything he knew, to reveal everything he knew, because they were jealous of what he knew, because he would go around teaching priests the art of perfect memory because they would memorize all these texts and manuscripts. Still 0 viewers, cool. And so he would read these manuscripts and memorize them, and he was teaching these priests to do that, but they taught a man-made religion, but his stuff was just natural and what he knew, and he was a rebel rouser. He would go places, get jobs at universities and stuff, and then he would just upset the system and attack everything, and they would end up booting him out. Basically, they ended up killing this man. He was an enlightened individual. So that was the key. I was like, "Oh, wait, these guys were enlightened. So what is happening to me?" I would be just going along, and all of a sudden, I would get this massive amount of information, and I would understand every bit of it as it went into my mind. And then I would think about it and realize this was a massive subject that would take a long time to digest. So I was getting massive amounts of information put into my brain at random times. And that, the first time it happened, uh, don't know how to describe it except just a massive amount of information put in my brain all at once. What, well, that's there now. I know that. I can do that, you know? Basically, when you get this information, it gives you a new lens on how to view the world or a new lens in your internal situation. It's like, oh, this shifts things a little bit. I'm gonna drink some water. So I go through these periods, and there I learned that in my view of entities or demons and angels change to like negative entities and positive entities, and like very dark, powerful entities that are in operation in this world. And people are like, there's evil. And yeah, there is evil beyond the veil. And basically, covens or witches or warlocks, they will make pacts, and they will do binding rituals to these entities that are energetic entities. And they feed off of pain and suffering. And that is a whole nother world that I could get into. And it's like the only place I learned about that was not in a book, not from any witch or warlock or anything, but it was from like the spiritual information I received. So the next portion of this awakening or in my enlightenment, and I don't know the difference between a spiritual awakening and enlightenment or awakening. I think there's three different tiers to it, because I think you can go through a spiritual awakening but without enlightenment. But I have come to the belief that I went through both at the same time, or all 3. I'm or they're all just one. I don't know. I've never really had much of a conversation with somebody else that's enlightened or somebody that's had a spiritual awakening. I like, I've been trying to find people to have conversations with, but they have, like, these catchphrases, but there's no depth there. It's like, I know you're not enlightened for the fact that you are not having the conversations that an enlightened person would have because you are given knowledge. It's you are given extra information. So I started going down to the next part. I don't know what that means going down to the next part. There were different phases that I was going through. So I started learning about reincarnation. And when I say that, yet again, it's not going to a book or watching YouTube videos. It was learning like about reincarnation, about my past lives. And that lasted about, I don't know, 2.5 weeks or so. And my notes during this time, like my uh um little journal, and I try to have a notebook, but it was just scrambled and writing. It was like not very good note taking during that period. But some of the notes were a little coherent on what was going on. So, learning about reincarnation, the way this happened is I would relive those lives for about 2 or 3 days at a time. So, we have this thing called like a character reel where have you ever heard of channeling? And where people can like channel somebody, um, or people with split personalities. Like basically, they have two character roles and they can change, and they literally have like a total different personality. It's just like where the energy's being used and how it's conducted. It's not changing the brain or anything or the soul. It's just here's the mind, here's the soul, and then the character reel gets shifted, and then it just has different energy output. So in different lifetimes, I had a different character reel, and that was put on here at this point in time in this lifetime. So I knew who I was, my soul was aware, but I was seeing it through the lens of that lifetime. And I had the memories from that lifetime and things that I learned. And I'm get sitting there and I'm reliving these lives 2 to 3 days at a time. And I'm each time is like fresh, like, oh, I don't know. Oh, then I start having memories. And I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I'm start getting the knowledge that was learned in that lifetime to now. And so I started having skills that I've never had before. It's like, this is supernatural beyond anything. And in that experience, I learned about time. I learned about reality. I learned about reincarnation and your soul going from different lifetime to different lifetime. Processing that was not easy whatsoever. It took maybe a week before I figured out what was going on because at first I didn't know what was going on because I was somebody else, but I was me. It's like, I know this is me, but I'm somebody else. I'm the alchemist. It's like, I'm this, and like, but I am me. It's like, it's confusing. I think um, I'm thankful that I had been a soldier, and I'm thankful that I was training regularly because being a soldier kept me disciplined and just like doing like the small tasks of like um washing my clothes, like making my bed, going exercising, and just like being like, okay, I gotta make it through this because I can see how people would go into like severe psychosis, possibly, and just not be able to handle it very well. And I know my aunt, my grandmother had spiritual experiences, and my grandfather's a Freemason, and he had my grandmother committed, and they did electroshock therapy on her like 36 times, and they fried her brain. Because I come from a very spiritually connected family lines. My mother, on her side, I'm very sure my mother was a witch. Her mother was a practitioner in the occult. My father, grandfather, great grandfather, great great grandfather, Freemasons. And so then these bloodlines come up, and I'm born. And it makes perfect sense now in my childhood because I was absolutely just despised and treated like trash. And I'm guessing like what families have like the black sheep. but it's not on accident because families will pick a child that they are going to sacrifice their pain and suffering, not to kill, but it's like, this is the child that's going to suffer for our family so everybody else can do well. And that's what I was picked for. And once I understood that, I was like, oh, it wasn't just accident, it was on purpose. And so that made a lot more sense because I always had this why and wondering why they did what they did and why they were so crappy to me. It's like, oh, y'all were just dealing in dark stuff and y'all were just evil people. Cool. Got it. So I come from family lines that are not just, it's not that they're somebody, they're not nobody. They were in the occult world. And I don't know if I was, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't know if I was a baby from a ritual or from something else really bad happening because whenever my mother just despised me and my father was always just like ashamed of me. So it's like, what do I remind you all of? Like, did you all do so like something happen here that was bad? Was I brought about in a way that was just evil? And so like I'm here and you just don't like my presence. And that gives me a lot of clarity on my childhood because these people were like, "Oh, we're Christians, you're just blah blah blah." It's like, no, y'all don't act Christian whatsoever. Like maybe in the way you speak or the church you attend, but in private life, y'all are some of the most evil people I've ever met, and very manipulative. And and in doing that, like I was like, okay, not in doing that, but in understanding them more and their motives, I got a lot more contentment on my childhood. It's like, oh, this makes total sense. So let's go back to like reliving those lifetimes. And it wasn't the entire lifetime, but just getting a feel for what I had been in another life. So I'm going through that, and there's several other major stories in there that one day I will share, but they're they're very supernatural. That's all the only way I can explain it. Completely supernatural. Still no viewers, but this video will be up to watch. And everything ended. And of course, I didn't give you all the details in that period of time, but then it all stopped. The awakening was over. I had been given tons of information, and then it just was like, don't. Now it was my turn. It's like, what do I do with this? But here's the catch, like, my soul was present and forefront during that time, and my mind was put at ease, basically, the way it was programmed and taught and raised in the human herd. Then it popped back into the forefront. And so then had to deal with all this Christian programming I had and religious stuff and like the way the world has taught me to believe and what not to believe. And so it was conflict of like, I would learn what the truth was. My brain is in conflict with the truth. So the big task then was, how do I program my brain to believe what the truth is and align myself with what my life mission is and what my purpose is? Because I know what my purpose is and I know what my mission is, but my brain is fighting me every step of the way. And I'm scared of this religious dogma that was put in me. So I had to break out of that. I had to break habits and I had to change my belief system completely. Now, my belief system is I have a soul, I have a body, I have a mind. There's a creator, there's good and bad entities. It's that simple. Like, I don't have to read a book or believe any book or any system whatsoever to know the simplicity of the human existence. And we have energy access that we can use. So our body is like connecting these three different dimensions. It's like the spiritual dimension, the three dimensional, the energy. realm or dimension because it flows through all that. I don't know exactly what to call that. It's like and the body and life, and it's all held together right here and right now. And the human mind is a recording device. It's very, very, very unique, very cool. Like, how do I reprogram it? So I started going down that rabbit trail. And as I was seeking, I was given information that I had downloaded. That's the best way I can say it, or it was just imparted to me. And so I started applying this stuff. I was like, oh, I'm going to learn about this. I started learning about symbols, started learning about energy, started learning about different things. And I started put together this thing that was like helping me to reformat my brain. And it's not easy work on your own. It's not easy work not knowing what to do. And basically, it's just like blazing your own path because I know what my it's like you know what your mission was is, and like nobody else knows it, and I have to complete it on my literally on my own. It's like this has been the most isolated journey I've ever been on. Um, it oh, so it's so crazy because I am, and I don't care about the invalidation anymore. But like I have had very few conversations with people that just take it for face value and have any curiosity about it. Like they don't want to ask questions like, man, if I met somebody that was enlightened, I would love to talk to them about that. I would love to ask questions. I would be just enthralled. But, it is what it is. So I start for like 11 months, I got really serious about this of like, okay, I don't like not believing the truth and believing in who I am. I don't like that. My brain's got to get with the program 100%. So I did this massive deep dive, um, inner work, just every day, going in, going in, going in, just over and over and over, nonstop. It was relentless because I was enjoying it. But I knew the sooner I get this portion done, the sooner I can start doing the real work. And I didn't even know what the real work was yet. And I knew it was helping people though. And so I got through this long period of time and I realized I had built something. I was like, oh man, like the stuff that I've been doing on the inside, anybody can do it. And I started naming it. The first thing I named it was a character trigger. I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And I used it. I started using it on myself. And then I got to create this system, it's visualization while you're in meditation, and you can work on your memories and you can put the identity that you want into different memories by making you would have to I have a program on uncivilized rebirth on the school platform, and there are modules in there that teach everything. So fast forward a year or two, and I finally have to be like, okay, I got to put this work together. I got to start formatting this and get it out there because my job is to help people. Like I have information and the way to let people organize their mind and connect with their soul. And in doing so, you never have that void again because in religion, they're like, oh, like the biggest thing is like you're just going to go burn in hell and you can never be good enough. And you're not, they don't teach that you're connected to your soul and to look inward. And it creates this hollow cavity in you, which I do not want to argue with anybody in religion. I was in it in Christian religion. I was in it for like on and off for 40 years, and I know all the arguments very, very well. Even now, over the past couple of years, I've had a few interactions with Christians, and I'll tell them like, I know all the arguments and I can discuss them, but they just blank over and they have these like formatted responses, and they're not free thinkers. So they're just a group of people that I just have no desire to discuss with or argue with whatsoever. So I put together a program. It's like Uncivilized Rebirth. There's a whole bunch of work in there that a person can do to literally change their inside world completely, to be calm and not in chaos and create the character that you want to create. And that's what I realized that is like, and it was so crazy. It's a golden egg, basically. It's like these things are life altering in a very good way. And so what I do now is I try to get people into the community, and I'm trying to get the hours in of helping like coach people or getting on Zoom calls, guiding people through there. And I'm in the very beginning phases. But if I hadn't have started 4 months ago, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I'm just going to continue forwards because I know this program works and it helps people. And I have visions of it growing to be a very, very large operation where people can unplug from the world, go to a place, live there for like 3 months, go through this program, and totally change their life, and then get put back out in civilian world. And right now, like I have it where people can do it at home. The goal is not to keep somebody coming back. It's to get somebody unplugged from depending on the world because we depend on so many coping mechanisms. We're always seeking, seeking, seeking. Imagine being free of having to be validated by anybody. Imagine being free of stressing about what you wear to the point where you're like, oh, it literally doesn't matter what I wear, and I will choose my clothes just to fit in, maybe, but I'm not worried about what they think. And freeing yourself from judgment from other people, as in, it's cool for them to judge, but it no longer affects you internally whatsoever. Then with this work, you can free yourself up from the past. Because every time we go back to those past painful memories, we put on the identity from those, and it just like puts us back in that past. And so, like, whatever progress a person will make, you remember those memories, and then it's like back to square one. You got to start over. Work I teach circumvents so much of that painful process to make it far simpler and far faster and permanent. So we have all of one people watching. I've been going on for 40 minutes now, and I think I'm gonna start doing a live stream, like, every Saturday night probably, or every other Saturday night, or maybe every Wednesday night. That would be really useful. So, if you watch this in the future, um, cool. I was actually thinking about opening up another YouTube channel and just teaching about the dark arts and the defense against the dark arts, and just go into great detail on that. Um, so and then in the end, like, here's an it sounds arrogant, but it's not. But basically, what I discovered I am is I'm an enlightened warrior, and the battlefield is not with weapons; it's within the mind, and the tools are these um, tools that are not weapons, and they're not pens and pencils. It's the words and the visualizing. So people can take the words and they use the words to form these tools in their mind to change it and take control of it. That's where the war is. The war is, I call it, this is what I've been calling it to myself. Like, we're in the energy wars. But, okay. And here we go. We have entered the age of Aquarius. I'm going to explain this. So you got energy everywhere, everything. and the universe is full of energy. It's not in the universe, it coexists. So, right where the earth is right where the energy is, and they are not transparent, but they can move through each other. Words are a frequency and they travel, and energies have shifted in the age of Aquarius. What it is like energies have shifted. So, let's say before the energy shifted, the wavelength of all the energies was like this. This is the best way I can describe it. And the people that did the craft work, energy work, or the word control, because that's a big way humans are controlled is through words and language. And the wavelength was like this that they used. The old energy that was in the universe like this, and they meshed up and it would fit in and flow and it would land. Now, let's say the energy's like this, and the old ways are a lower frequency, and these are like this, and it just doesn't land anymore. It doesn't work. There's a lot more detail to that, and that's the way it was revealed to me how that's working now. So there's like just a huge power shift, massive. That's why the world is in chaos, and people in authority are in chaos and trying to keep the herds of humans just and in panic, because if they're panicking and they're worried and they're scared and they're stressed, they can't sit there and go on the inside and discover themselves. It's like we got to keep them on the hamster wheel. We got to keep them freaked out so they don't get a quiet mind and like discover what's actually going on. Cool. I bet nobody's gonna watch this, but if you do and you watched it to 43 minutes and 37 seconds, leave a comment below. Oh yeah, I was on my roof today putting some caulk on some screws. That's why my face is a little bit sunburned. Um, I saw this meme. It said, "Chop wood before enlightenment, chop wood after enlightenment." It's like, 'cause you still gotta wash the dishes. So, I'm gonna shut up now. I've enjoyed talking to myself. I'm about to end this stream, and it's not a river stream, or a stream going into a river. It's a stream of information going out there onto the YouTubes. I'm gonna do this again, and I'm gonna shut up now. I'm not doing a good job at ending this. And this YouTube journey, like I've become much more of a talker, like much more. I was before, but I am getting a lot better at presenting information. And I don't like doing a script at all. I like doing it naturally. I am done now. Nothing prolific to say. Yeah.